Well, welcome. We've got a few people on board. We've got PCF with us and Stephanie. Um, Little Blossoms is here. Hi, Cami. Hey, Stephanie. So I'm guessing Mesa County will be on here talking about some fingerprints. We'll catch them whenever they jump on board. Stephanie, do you want to start today? Or you want to pass it on to PCF? What would you like to do?
Let's have PCF go first.
All right, ladies, tell us what's going on.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So the first thing that I wanted to share was just some of the current grant opportunities that are available. Most of these are the same ones that have been shared in the weekly provider updates, but if you haven't seen those, they are now in a table, so it's a little bit easier to keep up with. So I just wanted to make sure you have that. The big one that I wanted to highlight is the Expanding and Emerging Child Care Grant Program. I think I might have mentioned it briefly in our last meeting, but at the time, some of the details were still rolling out and we were still wrapping our head around it. But this is a really exciting grant opportunity. Programs are eligible to apply for anywhere from $3,500 to $50,000, so long as they are increasing capacity in some way, including if you were to take a preschool room and make it into an infant toddler room, since that's addressing the need for infant and toddlers, that also would count as an expansion in this situation. So within that document, there's a little bit more information as well as the website that links you to the application. We really encourage you work with licensing as well as us before you submit the application, just so you can make sure you have everything ironed out. And this one is available for the next 18 months. So it's not super time sensitive, but if it's something you're interested in, I would definitely start thinking about it. And
would this qualify for someone that is opening a new center?
Yes, totally. Yeah. So anybody who is opening a center or increasing slots in some way is eligible, but that's really the big requirement. So
you got it.
And then the other thing, and yeah, there are a couple of other grant opportunities included on that list as well. So let me know if you have questions about any of them.
Yeah, so we've got the Early Childhood Health Outdoors. And so I'm recording my screen so those watching this will be able to kind of see I jumped in there. Facilities improving funding available for family care and homes. The farm one looked interesting. Looks like there's 5 of these mini grants out there. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't know too many details about it. I stumbled across it just probably last week. But from my understanding, it is a small grant of $4,000 with hopes that programs will increase use of local food in their community, such as gardens, agriculture, education initiatives, and things of that nature. So I don't know a ton of details. I do know that there is an informational webinar on March 12th, and I can find that and link it in. And I'm planning to attend that as well. So once I get to attend that, I'll have a lot more details about it. So
yeah, that sounds good. We've got it on our schedule as well, and we're gonna try to record it. And then if we're able to capture it, we could share it on our Facebook group. And I just clicked on that link inside yours, and there's a whole menu of information about this mini grant application, background overview, eligibility, all that kind of good stuff. So lots of resources within your resource.
Yes, and I just linked the full website page that has more information about it.
Great. So. Super. All right.
And with Colorado Shines updates, Jessica was kind enough to note these deadlines coming up, but I just wanted to reiterate. So the end of this fiscal year is wrapping up quickly. So the last day that you can sign an MOU is March 31st. That's a Wednesday. If you sign on that Wednesday, you might not be able to spend your quality improvement funds. So the sooner the better. and we want to give you as much time as possible to spend those funds. But coaching can continue past March 31st. And then when the new fiscal year begins, new funds will be available. So if you don't get a chance to spend everything down, you can sign an MOU in the new fiscal year and have fresh funds to work with for coaching and quality improvement materials. And then the deadline for capital improvements projects is on March 31st, that Wednesday. And so you just need to apply by March 31st, and your project needs to be completed by the end of May. So if you have a project that won't get started until after then, we probably suggest that you just wait until the new fiscal year to access those funds. And those funds are available for programs every other year. So if you use it this year, you won't be able to access it next year. But yep, that's that. Any questions about those dates?
I'm going to be your guinea pig because I'm going to sign an MOU and we're going to apply for the capital improvement. We've got a couple big projects we'd like to do for our toddler program. So we'll have a call this week after today, I'm sure.
Sounds good. It will be a hustle, but we can definitely pull it off. I know I just checked in with coaches and they have the capacity. So we're ready when you are.
All right, we'll get Grand Junction on board.
Perfect.
Kirk, it's super easy. I already did mine. My project is set to be installed at the end of next month.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've got a couple things. I've got a couple quotes on some stuff, and that's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah, super easy. Amy and Jessica were a breeze to work with to get it all done.
Nice.
That's what we like to hear. I'm glad it's been a smooth process. Yeah, so the
Now,
next
if
thing,
completion is as smooth as the implementation of it, then we'll be good. I'll
Yeah,
keep you posted.
you got it. Hey, would you like to share, Stephanie, what project that you chose? Would you share that with us?
I guess I can turn my screen on. I redid the surfacing in my toddler playground. I took everything out and we did a turf. So, and we took out a bunch of equipment and installed a bunch of equipment. Well, we're about to install a bunch of equipment.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, that's great.
yeah. So I'll have new turf. And then my green classroom playground, they'll get tiles. We have rubber tiles going in on their side.
Oh yeah,
So-
super.
Yeah, it's pretty big, but installation should be a week from start to finish. So
Yeah.
It'll be
we
nice.
We redid our outside playground on 7th Street. Now it's been almost 3 years now. And I mean, that was well over 10, 12,000. The
Yeah.
grants weren't around then, but yeah, good for you to jump in on that.
it'll be nice. I'm excited to see it done.
Yeah, absolutely. You still have to water the turf, I learned.
Huh.
So ours
Interesting.
got so hot, and yet we had to buy these granules, and you spread them on there, you rake them in, and then if you water it, it keeps it cool to the touch for 8, 24, 48 hours. So you don't have to water it, but when the sun hits it, but it, of course, depends on what kind you get, I guess, right? But
Right.
yeah, we really have to watch it in the hot summertime. So
Yeah,
Oh, you
ours will be under a shade structure.
Yeah.
The majority of it will be. I have a
Yep.
huge structure over the top, so we'll see what it does.
yeah,
It's
that's
got to be
awesome.
better than what I got. So
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. That's awesome. Excited for you. Hi, PCF, back to you.
Perfect. Great. So the next thing that I wanted to highlight is Pinwheels for Prevention is happening next month. Throughout the month of April, it's Child Abuse Prevention Month. So the Partnership for Children and Families will be doing a couple outreach things around that and promoting some of the statewide materials. So kind of historically, Pinwheels for Prevention, different groups have set up like really large pinwheel gardens throughout the community, but the goal this year is to kind of get pinwheels everywhere throughout the community, to show that we care about preventing child abuse. So over the next few weeks, we'll be sharing some information about distributing those pinwheels. And I also included in the agenda a coloring sheet. One idea that was presented in one of the meetings was getting children and families to color in a picture of a pinwheel and put it in the wall, or not in the wall, but in the window, so that people can see it as they come by. So definitely, if you want to participate in that, we would love your support in that. And if you need copies of coloring sheets, we can bring you those as well as pinwheels. So, and then the second thing that I linked is a podcast. It's a 20-minute podcast by preventchildabuse.org. And that kind of goes into how it's a little bit more difficult to identify child abuse during the pandemic times. And it provides some information on how educators can be watchful of some of those things and this strange, weird environment that we're in now. So, yeah.
Great.
And then you guys probably hear this every time Jessica and I open our mouths, but we have made some more updates to the website. So right now we're trying to focus on licensed centers and licensed homes and building those pages out, because we know that each have specific needs. And so we've added things like CACFP and the different licensing requirements. So we love it if you would check out those pages and let us know what's missing. They're by no means done. I think our whole website is kind of a living document. And so we're trying to keep it really updated with the latest resources. But yeah, if you see something missing that would be a helpful topic to cover, we would love to add that. So you can email Jessica or me, or there's a contact us form on the website. We'd love to hear. And the last thing is that the Child Care Providers Town Hall, that kind of support group, it has been meeting every Tuesday at 5:30, just via Zoom. And we're now switching to every other week. So that group has been really great. We have Helen Tambreza, who might be on in 5 minutes, just to introduce herself. She's the child care specialist and she facilitates that meeting. And it's been a really wonderful space to just convene and just talk about what's going on. A lot of it is oriented around early childhood care and education. And sometimes it's just a lot of laughter. So we just wanted to bring that forward again. The link to the Zoom meeting is in the agenda. There's not like a specific event for it that we would like invite you to on a calendar already, but just take the link and put it on your calendar. It's the same link every week. So yeah, if Helen pops on in 4 minutes, maybe Jessica and I will go ahead and introduce her and let her share a little bit about herself. But until that happens, I think we're done.
All right. Wonderful, ladies. Thank you so much.
Hey, Kirk, will you check the waiting room? I think Daisy's in there.
You got it. Oh, and there's Helen.
Wonderful.
There she is.
Well, we can let Helen get a little bit oriented, but
Sorry to keep you waiting, ladies.
when you get a
Didn't see
chance,
you there.
Helen, I just shared a little bit about the town hall. And so if you wouldn't mind unmuting and just sharing a little bit about yourself and what the group has been like, that would be wonderful.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Helen Tambreza. I am the Child and Adolescent Specialist with the Colorado Spirit Team. And as Amy and Jessica have probably mentioned, I run the Child Care Provider group on Tuesday nights. What it really is just kind of we bring some education, whether that be about healthy boundaries or maybe perceived guilt and moral injury or compassion fatigue. And we have a little bit of opportunity for education. But the bulk of the time is just an opportunity for childcare providers to talk about how they're feeling at work, how COVID has impacted their job or how it is impacting their daily life, which is impacting their job, and kind of just an open opportunity to have a safe space to vent and chat. And then it's also, it's people who understand what you're going through, because it's other childcare providers, it's other people who have been doing this work, and they get it. They understand what it's really like to go through this during COVID and work this job when COVID is all around and taking over our lives. So yeah. And then just because every opportunity that I get, I'd like to share a little bit about Colorado Spirit. We are a FEMA-funded disaster response team responding to COVID-19. So back in August, the president signed a disaster declaration, which allocated dollars for mental health resources. And that's where I come in as providing resources to kiddos and families, and then people who are supporting kiddos and families. We are a finite program. We are ending the end of June, but we are available for individual crisis counseling, group crisis counseling, which is what the child care provider group is considered, and then also education for staff or whomever about different areas that we all kind of have some expertise in. For me, it's healthy boundaries and stuff about kids. Other people, it's guilt and moral injury, or rest, or compassion fatigue, and those kinds of things. I know that was a lot of information really fast. Does anyone have any questions?
So for someone to reach out to you and access, we've got the Zoom link to your meetings on every other Tuesday available here on our agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Is there another way for someone to reach out and contact you?
Yeah, I will put the link to our website in the chat, and that will have my contact info as well as all of the other crisis counselors. And we do have people who specialize in senior care work, and then we do have a bilingual crisis counselor if that is applicable to anyone. So I will put that in the chat. You are very welcome. And I see that my supervisor has just popped on here. Diane, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Diane Birmingham, and I'm the Colorado Spirit Team Lead here in Mesa County. And I have a great team.
So Diane, I was just kind of giving the rundown on what Colorado Spirit is, and then just kind of a little plug for our group on Tuesday nights. So I don't know if there's anything you would like to tell the beautiful people, but feel free.
Well, I just have been part of the child care provider group, and I found it to be a very warm group. Everybody's pretty comfortable, and it's free, it's confidential, so we share pretty well and we support each other pretty well.
Is there I don't want to say typical, but maybe common requests, partnerships from childcare providers? I could see where providers are trying to find, well, not trying to find, but have families that they just want to connect, right, with your organization. Is that pretty common?
I see it sometimes. Not as common as I would like it to be.
Sure.
But yes, there are often times, or even just childcare providers will shoot me an email and be like, hey, do you know a resource for this or someone who I can connect them to? Which that happens occasionally. So yeah.
Okay.
It seems like we get more referrals like through the schools and such.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lots of other places, not so much in this group, but we're welcome to it.
Yeah.
Well, and my thought is oftentimes childcare providers we got what's this tunnel vision on day-to-day operations and making sure we're taking care of our business. And so being aware of these kinds of resources is great. So I see the link to your website in the chat. So people on the call and people watching this later will be able to grab that. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right about the tunnel vision. And like, we try to incorporate a lot of self-care in our support group. We do little presentations to kind of remind people like what avenues there are for self-care and how to keep that in your agenda for the week as best you can. Because again, if you don't fill up that well of what you need, you can't disperse it very well in all of the kids and the demands on your day.
Yeah, very true.
Are there any other questions that we can answer?
All right. Well, again, lady, thank you so much for coming on and sharing.
Yeah,
Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your day.
You got it.
thanks. Nice to meet y'all.
You as well. All right, Miss Stephanie, you want to take it?
Are there any questions for PCF on the grants? Now that we've had a couple more join the call beforehand. Okay, I am gonna let Daisy go first in case she needs to jump to something else.
Look at that. Is anybody having issues getting fingerprints done at Hilltop or copy besides Laney? And Little Blossoms? Those are the two I've talked to. But the amount of appointments, is it a hurdle for anybody else?
Yeah, it's been a hurdle for a little bit, but I got mine done. But it was a fight for about 4 weeks.
Okay. So anytime you go on there and there are no appointments, like for weeks out, will you please let me know, let Heather know? Hilltop is willing to open up a few more slots if they need to. I don't know that they quite, I don't know if it's a manpower issue or what, but it seems to be that they fingerprint for childcares on every Tuesday and Thursday from like 9 to 11:15 in the mornings. We need a few more. So if we have people who need it and it needs to get done, will you please let me know, let Stephanie know? Morgan is kind of in and out. Ashley is out right now, but let one of us know so that we can get you guys fingerprinted. We do not want your fingerprints to be a hurdle as to why you're not hiring staff.
Sounds good.
That's all I had.
So if we're looking at copy, what I'm hearing you say is it's just a Tuesday, Thursday window for childcare providers.
Hilltop is just Tuesday, Thursday. I haven't gotten a hold of copy yet.
Okay, got it.
Copies anytime, but what my staff experienced, my new ones, is that they kept rescheduling them. They would set a time and then they'd reschedule them for another time. And then they'd come in and then they couldn't do it because of a system issue. And they'd reschedule them again.
Okay.
Copy will do anytime. That's why I've always liked them. But
Yeah. Is Identico done and done?
Last I heard is they're not even in Colorado anymore. So I
Ah.
have no idea, but that's, I don't even know.
Got it. Okay. All right, Miss Daisy, anything else in licensing world?
No, not that I can think of. Does anybody have any questions? Kind of a one-man band over here right now.
Doesn't sound like it. All right. Well, you get to go play whatever instrument you were playing before you jumped on the call, and we let you in from the waiting room. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kirk. I appreciate it.
All right. Try to get there on time next time.
I was here at like 12:59 waiting.
Really?
Yes. I even brought my lunch up here and everything so that I could.
Well, there's proof. There's proof. Okay.
Proof. So
I
lunch
apologize.
proof.
I retract that last statement.
All right. Let me know if you guys need anything. Like I said, Ashley's out. If you try to email her, my phone number is on there. My email is on there. So just, yeah, reach out if you need something.
Sounds
Thanks,
great. Thanks so
guys.
much.
Mhm.
Well, Miss Stephanie, there's nobody else for you to pass the mic to. You're out.
Okay, is everybody out of the waiting room? Huh? Oh, okay, so updates, as far as the CDA goes, we started a cohort. We had 18 slots available for this first round. We filled 16. They get a stipend of $600. They have a $375 classroom budget. And they are certified within 8 weeks or go through their 120 clock hours in 8 weeks. That was on, they meet on Tuesdays from 1 to 3. So that's already up and started. We'll probably run hopefully something similar to that again in the fall, potentially October. And then the other CDA is the Colorado Shines Brighter Scholarship, and that one is a $300 stipend. For renewals, it's a $125 stipend. We had enrollment open for 3 weeks, and we only took a certain amount of numbers for that one because we will do again in April and in August. So that one is full again, and some people will have to reapply for the May opportunity. So if you do have people that didn't get accepted, it's just because we hit our number, and we'll do again in May of that other opportunity. So that one's that self-paced, it's a virtual course. And then the CDA advisor support as well. Questions on the CDA, those processes, opportunities?
Have you heard anything about the observations for the teachers that are on waivers?
So those are still on hold. Nothing has been determined yet. The CDA Council has been toying with the idea of doing virtual observations, but that has not been official and has not been determined either. We're still pushing for hopefully an option like that. But as far as real news, no.
Okay. So when they come close to expiring, because I have 3 of them on a waiver right now, what do we do? Do I reach out to you?
They should reach the contact that's managing the waivers at the state. We'll be checking in with them at that 6 months if it's reaching that date. And that 6 months just a check-in date. It's not an expiration. So they'll just say, where are we? Yes, we're still in the land of COVID. Here's another 6 months.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. So don't worry about those. They'll just be checking in for those, and just since we're still in the same status. They did it as a 6 month just because they didn't know what was going to happen, and they wanted to check back in with candidates and see what things were like. And hopefully, we were hoping that virtual visits would be allowed at that point. But still no. Kirk, I think we've got some people in the waiting room again.
You got it. Here's committee.
Sorry, I'm getting some dings.
Thanks.
Okay. Great question on the PD observation. Still none yet. We have been preparing for that though, of getting PD specialists ready, trying to figure out how we'll take these catchment areas, because they're these observations will be happening now that we're servicing 13 counties. We're going to have to be creative on getting those all approved, as we know that there's going to be a huge flux or flood of candidates once those floodgates open that need approval. So we have been making plans to do that. And people that have an associate's degree and years of experience in the field are eligible to become PD specialists. And I think those applications last for like 2 years or so, and then you can reapply. And I know Stephanie became one. Dusty is one as well. So those are options if you have staff members that want to, once all this lifts, gain a little bit of extra and then, you know, have another feather in their hat, basically. Okay. Moving on to college credit and credit for prior learning, we have funding this year for 2021 for credit for prior learning and college scholarships. So the credit for prior learning, the community colleges in all of the state of Colorado, and some of you may already know this, have accepted ECE 101. The CDA is ECE 101. So there's funding available for that if you have people that are trying to start their college career or would like to and they need a little bit of a bump. That can be that first step towards that, is using their CDA for college credit. And then this also impacts your quality. So with your teachers, if they have a CDA, that goes under a different section than college classes do. That goes in that different section for professional development. And if your staff have college credit or college classes, that's that other section in the professional development, those 3 different sections that can bump up their quality, which ultimately affects your quality. So there's opportunities for that. It also counts for EQIT. So EQIT can also be college credit. All they have to do is apply. We have funding for those. And then we also have funding for people that want to take up to 2 college classes that we can either reimburse or pay for 2 college credits. So those are also available, and this is on this document of the CCAK resource and scholarship document. It's also on the new Padlet resource that I tried to basically pulling it up and beef it up, the same document, but make it 30. So these are the kind of go-to resources that we've been using right now. That's kind of a temporary resource or one place to find some of these things. I know that PCF is working on their website, and ultimately all of this stuff, you know, will be available there too. And I know they have some of those pieces there. But those applications are there for staff members or yourself if you want credit for prior learning or college credits. I believe we can reimburse for some college classes. It's up to $500 per college class for those scholarships. Questions on those opportunities? Okay, if you have people interested, please send them my way. And then we have that resource just documented here. I would like to, Kurt, can you screen share and look at the Padlet thing? I wanted to get feedback on what you guys feel like, if this is useful per kind of replacing that resource and scholarship document that we created. I found this Padlet resource that was kind of helpful because I'm a visual person. So that title is not going to usually draw me in, but that picture might. I'm like, ooh, that might be a document I'd use. So per what we've been working with the pilots, this left side is, we've had some people ask about, you know, what is Child Care 8000? Where did it come from? What are the statistics? Even as people are trying to write some of these grants, you can pull some of these statistics, I can't say that word today, for your grants to understand that this is a child care desert, what our numbers look like in Mesa County that can help you when you're writing those grants. So, and also if you can learn about the history of Child Care 8000 and where it came from. That next over is the scholarships tab, and they should have current links for those applications. And the way this website works is when you hover over one of those columns, you can scroll down to go to those next tools. So we have those scholarships that are available here for the Child Care 8000 scholarships. The next one over is to request some of the trainings that I've been doing, and I'm hoping to potentially beef those up, but those are about what the trainings that I can do. I know Stephanie took one. And so Stephanie, would you want to share if that you felt like something like that's beneficial.
Oh, it was actually a very informative class. I thought it was very beneficial. Myself and my assistant director took it with you, and we both enjoyed it.
Great. Okay. And hopefully
And it wasn't
was
long and drawn out. It was quick and to the point.
good. That was my next point. Of I hope that was my point of try to condense, because I know you guys are usually, but you can basically listen, for an hour and participate even while you're driving or something like that was the goal, to create something that was efficient.
Well, I drove to Glenwood Springs and did it while I listened to you. So yes, it's capable.
Great.
It was
okay. Okay. Thank you for that. If there are people interested in the ethics one or the family involvement, or there's something that you would like to see, that's completely something that I can work to develop of a training. You feel like, hey, my staff could really use X, Y, and Z. Let me know, and I can do what I can to either find something that exists or create one that's a kind of a hybrid like those. The next tab are the tools that we've developed with the pilot sites, things that we've used out of either my previous experience that I used all the time as a director, and then I would coach or move some of our pilots to these resources. The Jeopardy games one I developed to try to make staff training fun and test developmental domains. Some of the other pieces are just things that we all found helpful and useful that the pilots tend to use and that I used to use as a director, or tools that we developed to help the pilots in just random problem solving. Well, not random. I don't want to say that. It wasn't random. So those live there. And then the other are just resources that I found helpful for parents. And then the other side are just resources of links to PCF. We would go to those websites quite often. There's some video links to just kind of helping coach teachers, that kind of stuff. So this was our kind of quick dump of a lot of the things that we use with Child Care 8000 when we're working with pilots and their staff members that we kind of dumped here. So I just wanted feedback of what you think. Is this a helpful tool? Is it too much? Do you feel like you'd want to see something else?
I'm not sure I care for the farmer background, all the hay. I'm kind of allergic to hay and it makes me itch just looking at the background. I love it.
Hey, Steph, can you give us
It looks
that
so
link?
great. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll drop it into the chat.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have it somewhere, but
I don't know. We've got so many links and things.
amen.
Well, we're getting all of them in one place, so that's helpful.
I'm getting there. And I'll obviously this is kind of a quick fix until we can Macy County website, PCF website, and we can kind of marry all these things.
Yeah, but Steph, it's you've organized everything in here really nice and really easy. It's not too busy, and it feels like it's really well put together for navigational purposes. So I think that's great.
Dusty, you had some thoughts the other day about a tool like this. Do you want to share what you were thinking?
Yeah, so I really liked this a lot. I feel like it's really well put together, and just, being able to if you're looking for something specific, because I've reached out to Stephanie a lot for what about this tool and what about this tool, and, directing me to different places. And then I thought that something like this would be really great to do for my center, having something for almost to it compatible or in place of a website, because this is something that you're hands-on building that seems pretty user friendly, and then Also, maybe like having a staff page, you know, for my staff members to go on and see, you know, required trainings, PDIS, CPR, first aid, you know, stuff that, so that they're not coming to me 100 times to ask, where was that website? What does this say? What is that? You know, that way they can have some autonomy and self-help. It just seemed like a really awesome way to organize all of my like knowledge that I have and put out there. And then also I really liked the parent resource section. I thought that that was a really great thing also that could be very useful.
I know that Kirk uses a similar website that's more of an organizational one that maybe he'd be able to share, but it was really easy to use. And you can, if you subscribe to this Padlet, you can copy some of these and put them in your own, which was what I mean, like, I loved this. It's kind of like Pinterest for work. That was kind of fun to play with. So as this opened up and then Dusty and I were talking about it, and she had this idea of like, oh, that might be kind of cool to organize that way. I know for myself, I am always like, where's that link again? And oh, that's right. That was in that email I just sent just a minute ago. But if they could, the links that you commonly use that you're sending out to staff or to parents living somewhere within your own, you know, might work in a resource like this. But I just liked it because it was super fast to generate and create, to make your own tabs, and you can set it up in different ways. But Kirk, do you want to maybe share the other one, the other tool that you had?
Yeah, so I use
about?
We use one that's called Trello, and I'll give you a quick example of that. And
you've got a lot of tabs open.
Yeah, that's kind of common. And so we have a lot of different Trello ones for different things. And so Daisy, as you mentioned, we are building one of these boards also for our families as a parent resource where you could put enrollment information, you could put upcoming events, you could put video links, and then have a second one for your staff. So I'm right on board with that, and I think that's really great. I mean, this is one that we use for jobs for our handyman, so he can keep track of his tasks and such. Let's see. This one here looks like, so this is the beginning, and we're just in the beginning stages of one for our families. It's a little bit busy right now, but these are parent resources, CCAP eligibility, WIC, the CACFP, and then we have classroom resources here, our Class Dojo, our digital portfolios. These are some videos for our CCAP families on how to use the ATS system. We haven't shared these with our families yet. So yeah, getting those organized, and certainly I love this organization. It's a little bit easier to look at. It's a lot easier to look at, but yeah, I think sending your parents to one location and then you can Pinterest it, like you gals had said, is a great system. And I agree with you, Daisy, about staff. Like, they have one link and they can go find everything, and then you can manipulate this. The problem with the center website so much is our website is on WordPress. I don't know how to manipulate that, and it's challenging. And we update our rates, and I got to find a tech to go in there and update my WordPress website. Whereas I think, like Stephanie said, if you can do Pinterest, you can do this. It's pretty easy with a few YouTube tutorials. So, one of the benefits of Padlet is you can share this link with, is there a limit, Stephanie? 2,000? I mean, you can share it and it's all free, right? And you can only have 3 of these pages, 3 unique Padlets. Like, you could do one for your parents, one for your staff, and one more. Maybe the third one for administration, your administration team or something like that, and that'd be great. With Trello, you can have 10 in a free service, but I can't share it to people just to look and click. You have to go to a paid version of Trello for that, which is $120 a year. So it's a great, a great resourceful product for a few of those things. So love to see what you do with that, Daisy, if you take it on.
Yeah, I also like have had issues with a website because we actually went through a person and he did a beautiful job and it was fantastic and it really helped us out having it. But having to go through him to get anything updated, it's time consuming. So something like this, where it's user friendly, where I can get in and do it, it could house handbooks, it could house general health appraisal forms, it could house, anything you wanted. And then when someone calls, well, what do you mean you need a doctor's form? Oh, go to this site and it's under forms, and I think that it would be really beneficial.
And I'd prefer to stop calling you Daisy since she has left the room.
It's okay. This isn't the first time. You do that to me all the time. So I'll see Daisy. It's fine.
Yeah. I respond by a few different things as well.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Kevin.
Have any thoughts on that? Oh, I'm sorry. I talked over that insult. Would you repeat that?
I said, thanks, Kevin.
Oh, Kevin's good. I went by Brian the other day.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, and on this one, I know you can comment and like things. And so, feel free to comment on things of like, hey, this would make more sense over here. Or could you add something different from that or whatever. So this is just kind of my playing with trying to make these resources. Oh, thanks, Kirk. Trying to make these resources a little more vibrant than the one tool we kind of created. I will say if you do share forms, if they are in Google, make sure you click under your share and it's anybody with the link. That way you're not having to grant permission all the time if it's a document outside of something. A lot of these other links, basically you just click on and then you add the link. So I would go to like the CDA Council website, copy and paste up in the browser, and then paste it into that link and then give it a title. So it was really simple. And then you can grab them and move them to put them in different columns. If you're like, oh, whoops, that shouldn't go there, it needs to go over here, you can move them really easily. So I did like the friendliness of the website for right now. Okay. Well, thanks for that
That's a nice
feedback.
thing that we can do in Trello too. And as an editor, you can move things around and make a whole big mess of stuff. So yeah, it's a great function.
Yeah, and actually PCF and Mesa County have one now where we're looking into social and emotional support and trainings of what we can maybe bring to the county. So we were able to we can each comment and add things as we're both researching. So it's been kind of neat to have a shared space to put all this stuff in and then see what somebody else has added and we can make comments and brainstorm. So that's been kind of neat as a format for that. And Jen, I saw your comment, there's no cost if you use only 3 for the Padlet one. And then with Kirk's, the Trello, you can use up to 10.
Yeah, and you can if you house your staff schedule in maybe Google Docs or Google Sheets, then you can have that inside here. You can just have a link to your staff schedule. And it's really nice. And I'm sure this is the same, but I've got an app on my phone and then I can go into these different boards. And again, I can move things here up and down. So you can, for your creators, it's really smart and easy to manipulate.
So with that, because a lot of times those are like living documents, if you put the link into that document and share it with anybody who has the link, as you edit the document, does it update on here? Or would you have to? Yeah, wow, that's
that yep. Link will be the same and your document is live. So yeah.
Cool. That's
I would suggest maybe putting a comment down below if you did update something and just say updated CNU version as of whatever. That way people know. And you can also delete these things pretty easily and then put another piece on there. I will say it's so easy to manipulate that I deleted everything on accident once. So it was like the second I shared it with some other people, like, hey, check this out. I've been having so much fun making this like more lively. And then I thought, ooh, what if I change the format? And it all went away. So just so you know, it can't go away pretty fast.
Trial and
You
error.
can put it up there fast.
That's
So
a
that
moment
was-
where it's good when you home office.
right? So nobody can see me turn bright red and like freak out.
Oh my, oh boy.
So, okay. And I know like a lot of these things live in other places, but this just kind of was what came about from the stuff we use most often that we found with the pilots that were always going to these documents. Even today, the No Small Matter video with resources is something I'm going to send a staff member here in just a minute to take a look at, you know. So anyways, the only other thing I had is that Mesa County Public Health is hiring. We are going to hire an early childhood workforce coordinator, and the application is open right now. You can find it on our website.
Just a couple things, especially for those that may be watching this on Facebook. We have a favor to ask of you. If you're not watching this live, it's really important that we get some feedback, and it's really important that these different agencies that support this Directors Network meeting and all the efforts recognize that you're watching this. So one of the things we'd like to do is we'd like to really ask those, if you're watching this not live on Facebook, that you give it a like and maybe comment on something that you've learned from that, or you know, a takeaway. Throw your takeaway down and comment to that video there, so that we can continue to, you know, take this conversation beyond, you know, these Tuesday meetings. So we really appreciate that. That way we know that the effort to get this out there on Facebook and record it and try to make it good and visual for everybody, that you're getting some takeaways for that. So thank you for that. Just so you know, next month I've got my brand new bookkeeper and accountant, Kelly Johnson with JFS Financial Services, coming on to talk a little bit about everything from PPP round 2, the ERC, the PHEL, the HAWA, all of these payroll elements. And so she'll be doing a small presentation, really just kind of there to help us answer any questions that we might have with that. So she's a fantastic lady, came with great recommendations, and she's been a good partner. So just like I brought in Auto Paychecks just to give that presentation before with that PowerPoint, I felt like that was really resourceful. So look forward to having her next month. Current COVID topics. Does anybody have anything right now COVID related that they'd like to throw out, they're struggling with, want some ideas on, or would like to have a little bit of conversation regarding? Anyone at all? Is there any kind of consensus that the quarantines have started to diminish a little bit? I'll knock on wood before anybody else, but it's been pretty quiet in my neck of the woods.
Super quiet.
Yeah. Great. Let's keep it that way, right? So let me talk about workshop topics and discussions. One of the things that I'm so interested in doing is helping with some of these tools. Stephanie has created a lot of tools for pilot sites. She's made those tools available to us as well. Now we can see them through Trello and through her links on the agenda. But I thought I'd grab maybe one or two and just kind of wrap up with a 15-minute workshop on them. But I would love to have someone else pick the topic. So for example, I'd love to share some ideas and just have a discussion on anything like staffing schedules, or how you share the staff schedule, how far you push the staff schedule, where you house the staff schedule. So I have prepared the staff schedule and sublist. We also have our, what we refer to as an employee docs and training, which is kind of what Dusty was talking about, maybe taking that over to Padlet, so I can share that with you. Or we can talk food, recipe book, digital menu, CACFP. Does anybody have any of those 3 topics they'd like to talk about? And I'll share. I'd love for someone to pick the topic between those 3: staffing, training, or food.
I'm constantly frustrated by staffing.
Let's
So
go there.
If you
All
want
right.
to go there, I would be
We
pleased.
are on our way. You got it. All right. So on the link to the treasure chest where I house all these documents is on the agenda. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see all this now?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so here's an example of our staff schedule. And I started using Google Docs or Google Sheets and Docs about a year ago. And here's what I love about this is we can create our schedule for the next 2 months. If I've got a consistent staff right now, I can knock out our schedule all the way through the end of the school year. And it doesn't take me long at all. So here's how we laid ours out. And this is old dates, but let's pretend it's current. Here is 5 of 18. And I can actually change this to 3 of 8 of 2021. When I do that, I've got too many tabs up, so my computer's getting a little bit tired. There we go. When I change the date there, it manipulates all of for the week. I've got my different classrooms here from toddlers, early preschool, and school age. I've got my admin down here. I've got the days of the week. Okay. We can add to our legend. And so if I know if I've got a shift available on Wednesday, I can just highlight that in yellow and just lets everybody know, hey, if someone can pick up that shift, communicate with Mickey Mouse. If somebody is off, we just copy this down on the bottom and say that Eeyore is going to be off Thursday, Friday. Let me fix that. It's just a simple copy and paste. Nothing simple right now. Oh my. Oh dear. Okay. Sorry. Okay, never mind all that. Eeyore doesn't get to take the day off. But we'll put Eeyore off on Thursday, let's say, and it's visible for everybody. It's really easy to communicate our schedule on this, and all of our staff can see this right on their phone. Okay, super easy to see on their phone. And then they can go to next week and the following. You can rename the weeks right down here on the bottom. So this was actually 3 of 8. We'll call this one down here, rename for 3 of 15. And we can change this date. And there's formulas in here so that when you change one date, it changes the rest. And then we'll go and we'll create a master. So this is the one that here that, you know, if nobody's off and everybody's solid, you've got one master schedule, and that's just the master only. So they're not looking at this for, you know, what they're doing for the upcoming weeks. So staff can look ahead at the following week's schedules and figure out if they're off, if they've been approved to be off, and so forth. Everything's free. Everything's easy to manipulate on these Google Sheets. And then within the schedule, usually the second tab is we have our sub list. And so another tab where I have staff that either are brand new hires that are interested in working full time, or maybe they're at CMU, so they have, you know, just a little bit of availability throughout the week. So we can plug into this sub list on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Fred Flintstone's available Tuesday from 12:45 to 2:35 on Tuesday, Thursday, and 11:30 to 2:35 on Wednesday. It's a small window, Donald Duck's available 9:15 to 3:15. They've got a phone number right here so they can text or call Donald or communicate through Voxer or whatever system you're using. And this is just, it's kind of a good resource for you to put your staff that might be available to cover a shift. And so this is where my staff's first go-to, or it's my first go-to if I'm helping a staff member trying to cover their shift. And then I'll prioritize. Let's say SpongeBob is always first to cover shifts. So, I'm in editing. I'm in view mode right now. I'll move SpongeBob to the top of that list so everybody knows, start at the top and work your way down. So it's an in-house sub list. And you might go, well, it's kind of hard to get subs. I get it, but you might have high school students or college students again. You should always be thinking about hiring staff and always be bringing staff on, especially if covering shifts has been an issue. There are people out there that will get their foot in the door, cover some shifts, and then, be ready and trained to take a full-time shift when it comes up. Now, Dusty, do you have any questions or thoughts about what I've shared so far?
So very recently, I switched over to using this list, and I love it way better than I had the most ridiculous, only I understood it. I was literally the only one who could visualize it, and it was colors. And so I had like the time of every 30 minutes of the day, and then people like in colors like green and red and orange and random colors all through the day, and it was a hot mess, and it has been super confusing. So this is definitely much easier to use. And this here, the March 8th, 2021, that changes the date, that makes a lot more sense now that you're explaining that, because I didn't know what it did, and I wasn't sure how you were coming up with the individual weeks because I was trying to plan monthly. But that makes a lot of sense to be able to show everybody else what people are doing.
Yeah. And then when you get you want to add a week, you just go to your master, make sure your master is always kind of set or reset, and then you just make a copy of it. So you duplicate it, and it's done here. And so this one, we might rename this as 322.
Okay.
So something like this, I think, could help you to plan ahead for when you actually do need a sub to utilize the substitute pool. That you could plan if I really don't have coverage for these 3 days for this afternoon or whatever, might help you plan for that. I do want to add a kind of a plug for the substitute pool. We've not seen a whole lot of traction with utilization, and she does have quite a few teachers on staff right now that we have until May. And if we get some traction with it, then we'll continue to have that resource. But if we don't, we won't have the substitute pool here in Mesa County after May.
So on my actual sub list, I actually have right at the top here, I've got the phone number to the sub pool as well. So if all else fails, a staff can reach out to admin and say, hey, do you mind if, I've tried my best. I see the sub pool on there. Will you make a phone call? And then we'll make a phone call and try to, help me cover that shift. Ideally, if you keep your pipeline full of staff of applicants, hopefully you've got 2 or 3 people that can be floating and filling into the classrooms. But don't forget about the sub pool for sure.
Yeah, we've used the sub pool a couple of times, and it was really, really beneficial. It kind of saved us a couple of times when we just really didn't have anybody else. And for us, we had, one experience where, I don't know that sub was necessarily the best fit, but then our next experience, that sub was fantastic. Like, we just adored her. And she was teaching our staff members things, and I just loved working with her. And so we had, you know, kind of like it was all right. And then we had a great experience. And she's definitely one that when we utilize it again, that we will ask for that specific sub, just because she did such a great job. So we've had pretty good luck using the sub pool and when we needed to.
Yeah, you got
I've
it.
had pretty much the same experience. We've really liked using it. You know, first sub was okay, but I just let Maru know if we just think it's not going to work out. And the ones we've had since have been wonderful.
Mhm.
And thank you guys for sharing that. You know, she is definitely willing to take feedback. She wants to hear those things for sure. And if you are an EHS site, an early Head Start site, they do pay for subs. So if there's trainings that you need to get a sub for, if somebody's going to one of the CDA cohorts in your EHS, that can be paid for by that. But I'm hoping that we can utilize it to keep those teachers employed. The other piece I wanted to state as well is that Maru, her philosophy is she wants what's best for programs and children and families. So it's also a temp to hire pool. So she does not have a fee if you end up absolutely falling in love with one of her teachers and you have a space available. There's no finder's fee basically if you take one of her subs and employ them. So that's another avenue for if you're needing to hire, you can try them out and use them as a sub for temporary purposes and then hire. So I know a lot of folks are needing teachers right now. So that was something else I wanted to put out as a plug. So hopefully we can use her services more because I'd hate to see it go away.
Right. And if you have any questions on like this staff schedule, feel free to reach out to me. Shoot me an email. I'll be happy to, you know, look at yours and manipulate, and I can help with all these formulas, because all these little formulas that changes the dates, Dusty, that's just an extra 2 minutes every time you create a new calendar, a new week, and duplicate that. It just saves you tons and tons of time. And there's other things in here. This is kind of an older one, but you know, when we're just working on it, we'll change this official schedule. We'll change it to tentative so that they know it's only tentative, or it's a template only. Don't panic. I know you requested for the week off. We're working on it. That's where the yellow comes in. That means tells my staff that, hey, I know that you're looking to get that off. Just hang in there with me. So it's tentative. So this is in the treasure chest that you can get in there and grab anytime you'd like. And then you can just make a copy of it and then it's all yours. So any other thoughts or questions on staffing systems? Does anybody have a different tool that they love, that they use for creating their staff schedule? And while I ask that question, I'll mention this. So Dusty, what we do, if we have a staff member that, you know, is, let's say that Kirk, I'm working Monday from 8:15 to 1, but maybe I'm working from, you know, 1:30 to 5 down in the next classroom, right? And so that's just how we move them. You jinxed me. You talked about my tab, Stephanie, and now my computer's just like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed.
I have that power. I have this magic wand back here that I can
Yes, you got me. Okay, I knocked some tabs out. So yeah, that's kind of how we just move them. So they just kind of look up and down the schedule a little bit and make sure they're not in more than one place. And I think it really is easier to knock out a week at a time. And then a simple way to duplicate that week using that master schedule in there as well. So does anybody have any scheduling thoughts or comments, suggestions? I know I refer to this once in a while, and I'll kind of finish my time with this, but inside this treasure chest, which that link, and let me know if you don't have it, a recipe book is in there. This is, a lot of this started from Christy from Kinderhouse shared it with me, so I'm just sharing it with you, and we've added to it. but I think we've got like 80 different recipes in there. And these recipes are really designed to serve about 75 to 80 kids. And so you can just cut it in half if you're serving 40. So that's in there for you. We've got our menu in here, which is a digital menu. We just email our parents a link and, post it up on the board so they can see that menu. We have a digital job application, and any of these, you should be able to go in there and just make a copy and then rename it for your own center and put your own logos on there and so forth. So as well as the staff schedules in there as well, if you don't already have access to that. So there's some resources there for you. Well, does anybody have anything else to add or share before we wrap up?
I do have one question that I'd like to throw out there for directors of, as I stated before, with PCF and Macy County Public Health, we are looking into resources for social and emotional training for teachers, supports in the community, and I wanted to hear from directors of what are you seeing out there? What are your needs for your staff? What are you seeing needs for parents? And what are you seeing as needs for children in your care around social and emotional supports? And has COVID affected anything? Have you noticed an uptick in behaviors, anything like that?
I know that the resources sometimes seem a little bit slim when we have kiddos that are in these need of services. And that's why I look forward to, I'm glad Helen was on, and I'm looking forward to checking out their information. I know that our early childhood mental health specialist has transitioned, so that position is not filled at the moment. So, I feel as a director that having access to have someone come in our site and work with our staff, giving them the help, support, and tools, coaching, working with children that are struggling, whether it's behavioral, social, emotional. The question is on the social and emotional spectrum, right? Is it specific to that?
No. So I know that there's interventionists that can do 0 to 3, and you can make referrals at any time. And then CPP, you get their services. Head Start, you get their services. I'm looking at the chunk in between. The folks that maybe don't qualify for, that are, above that 33 percentile for disability. That, 34th percentile and above, from 3-year-old to basically kindergarten, of those supports is kind of where I'm seeing a gap of assistance for that. So that's what I wanted to kind of hear of, if you guys are seeing that, and what are your needs, what are your wishes that you had, from trainings available for your own staff to a person to come to you to coach.
What about a Zoom training that staff could jump into and talk about and work with someone like that with resources and say, hey, here's some challenging behaviors we're struggling with a child, John Doe. Here's what we're seeing, giving, just having access to maybe a weekly, or maybe that's too much, maybe a bi-weekly or a monthly, where we can submit some scenarios and just get some guidance and have dialogue. I think that if we could do that at a time at a 6:30 to 7:30 once a month even, I think teachers would jump in there, especially if maybe they got an hour of continuing education, credit for that. I think that'd be a good resource. I think directors would get in there on behalf of their teachers sometimes, maybe. Just an idea.
Okay. What are some other thoughts for you guys?
I agree. I really do like the the idea of the teachers being able to get in there and like having a continuing education hour is awesome. That's a fantastic idea. And I think it would be really, really helpful to folks. We do Love and Logic, and I actually do training in it. Like I have the training, so I train the girls in Love and Logic is kind of what we're doing. I don't know that I've seen specifically like a gap or an issue that I haven't dealt with before. The only thing like that I have noticed with COVID and that kind of stuff is people are just super grumpy. And I've had parents, I had to send out an email to my families to inform parents that they are not allowed to bully each other while waiting to pick up their children. And that they have to be nice to each other and be nice to the staff, and that we're not tolerating that kind of behavior because we just have some parents who are just grumpy. And I don't know if it would be that way anyways, or if it's just everybody's kind of heightened. The teachers are heightened, the parents are heightened, which the kids feel. But mostly like the only thing I've really seen is like attitudes that could use a little adjusting probably, but I'm not sure how to address that other than, like I said, I sent out an email and told everybody to play nice.
Yeah, and that might even be followed up individually with that parent. Just ask them if they could come in and talk to you and just say, what can I help you with when it comes to dropping off? There's something we could do different to make it a little bit less stressful event for you, because I noticed you were bullying, you know, the Mrs. Johnson over here. You might leave that last part out, but yeah, just ask them, hey, what can I do to help this transition of drop off a little better for you? I don't know.
There were several cases all in one lump sum. That's why we did do it like to everybody instead of individually.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was actual like rough conversation where it was like, you cannot talk to people like that. That's not appropriate. Not here. Not here.
And I think it sounded like you handled it great. I'm just thinking, like, as a follow-up, if you had to, if someone doesn't get the memo, you know.
It was crazy. I've never had to deal with anything quite like that in all my directing times, but yeah.
Well, and I wonder too of like, how could we resource them of like, hey, you know, you're stressed out, or like, I'm seeing that you're, you know, having a hard time right now. Is there somewhere we could connect you if they really are struggling? And especially if there's several parents. I mean, this is a really weird time, and there's a lot of stuff happening, you know, like people trying to do some homeschooling stuff, work from home, and deal with children at home, which, you know, I have a 10 and 6-year-old, and it is bananas from time to time. And this is my world. For folks that it's not, like maybe they need some resources and some help with managing some of those things, because it is really difficult.
Hi guys, sorry, we're like, I've got a volunteer here and I'm taking advantage of her going through books. 6 years of books we've collected. You wouldn't believe the stacks going on over here. I'm not even going to show you. But what I've been doing, and Stephanie, we kind of talked about this on the EQIT, is there is a lot of burnout, parents, attitudes, behaviors. The sun is shining. It's getting a little warmer. It's getting a little bit better to where, you know, people are starting to come out of it. We're doing parent-teacher conferences right now for Early Learning Ventures. But in the very beginning, I kept asking the different coaches, you know, there was a survey of topics that when we first started, we were asking parents what they wanted to know about, what they wanted to learn about, to engage them more in our family meetings. Well, I actually found it when I was doing 6 years of paperwork. And so I'm going to do this with my, I'm going to pass these out. They can be confidential or whatever, but maybe they don't know how to work Zoom. Maybe they don't know how to do Zoom meetings. Maybe they don't have internet. So there's different topics on here, and I can share this with you guys if you want to. On, you know, I want to know what they want to learn about. If it's not dental care, if they could care less about it, I'm not going to waste my time or resources trying to do that. I've tried bribing. I've tried raffles. I've tried everything to engage our families in different behaviors. So now I'm going to go back to the survey and see what they're kind of looking for and what they're needing right now. So Stephanie, I might get back to you on that and kind of let you know what, because I have a very veritable of parents. I have a CPS mom, and I have hemp farmers. I have, all different kinds of parents in different economic statuses. And so some of them don't qualify for EHS or CCAP or services. And so I can get the rundown of what mental health and what behaviors and what things people are looking for right now. Financially, housing in Palisades, a big deal. There's no housing. A house even goes for sale on the market right now, and it's gone in 2 weeks. They just put a house up for sale across the street from me. So even to buy a home, first-time home buyers are having a hard time. It's a cutthroat market right now. And so, paying $1,000 for a studio apartment, that's the case over here too. And so finding what resources they need. Do they need to get a hold of housing authority? Do they need to, some parents have taken a step back too, and only one parent's working. And so now mom is at home with the kiddos and is, doesn't know how to manage. I have a mom like that. And she calls me at least once a week, and I don't mind. I don't mind if she calls me. That's great, And so just finding out, sometimes they're embarrassed. They don't want to go to Mine Springs. They don't want to. And Mine Springs kind of has a reputation when it was Colorado West. It's just for alcoholics and homeless and whatever. People don't want to go there. And just finding a way to network them maybe somewhere off branch, even though it's Mine Springs, like it's a counselor they can Zoom with, or it's more personable, I guess. A lot of people don't ask for help, and they're the ones that need it. But I'll let you know, Stephanie, when I do the survey right now with parent teacher conferences for the spring, what kind of my parents are looking for.
Yeah, that would be great, Jen. And would you mind sharing that survey? It made me think of one that I used to do a really long time ago, and I bet you have a more extensive survey.
Yeah, and actually Jennifer Rosendo sent me the original one in Word so we can change it. Because it didn't have, this was like from 6 years ago when I started EHS. And it just says, I'm available to participate in activities. It has a lot of cool stuff. I can help with carpooling, or is there any workshops or crafts? I mean, there's even a just for fun section. I mean, it's really good, but I wanted a Word version so I could change it if I wanted to. So I will send that to you, Stephanie, or anyone else that wants it.
Thank you. Okay, great.
Super. All right. Well, we are pushing 2:30, so we will wrap up. Thanks, everybody. Does anybody have any last thoughts, comments, something they want to put in?
Did you see my chat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Home office. I'll send you the address.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sounds great. All right, everybody. Hey, have a wonderful Tuesday. We'll see you. I'm going to immediately change the title of the agenda to April 13th. So we'll see you in a month. Thanks, everyone.